and welcome to Louisville's Best Podcast. We're so excited that you decided to join us during this quarantine time that's going on through our world, through our nation. But we're glad that you took time to listen to us, and we're hoping that maybe for the next 30 minutes we can just give you a distraction from what's going on out there as we just talk about nonsense, because that's what we excel at. So real quick around the Facebook camera feature, because we're not in the same room together, let's find out how everybody's doing. Charlie, how are you? By the way, Charlie, it looks like you freshly shaved your head. It looks amazing.
That was actually yesterday, but thank you.
I'm so jealous of it. But how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Work has been stressful, as one could think. As I've stated before, I work in a hospital, so I am, finger quotes, essential staff. And just a little inside baseball for you people that don't work in the medical field. The CDC doesn't know what they're doing. And I don't mean that like they're bad at their job. I mean like they literally have no precedent for this, so things change every day. The past 2 days I've had to wear a mask at all times. That's interesting. I already asked and know it could not be a Sub-Zero mask from Mortal Kombat.
Oh, man.
It has to be a paper mask. One of my friend's moms makes masks now, and I have a Star Wars one. It's using Star Wars material like bedspread stuff. It's awesome.
Yes.
But I can't wear that because the cloth masks can lead to more bacteria. And whereas it would still protect from COVID-19, it would cause more of an attraction to flu and pneumonia. So therefore, we can't wear them.
So basically, everybody's screwed. That's what you're saying, right?
Well, we get one paper mask a day. That's all we get. And if we're not wearing it, we have to put it in a paper sack. It makes me feel like I'm choking to death, like I'm going to smother. But I can go in a non-patient area and take the mask off. So I'll do that in my office and stuff. But it's frustrating. It's difficult. The patients are scared. It's it's a major bummer. However, it's been safe. That's the main thing. We are being safe. I've washed my hands so much that they're bleeding. That's fun.
Yes.
But yeah, it's good times. Good.
I'm glad that you're considered essential. I saw a great meme the other day from, if you've seen We're the Millers with Jennifer Aniston, and where the girl's dating the one guy and he's got the no regrets tattoo, but it says no regrets.
Yeah. I posted that. It says essential and it's spelled with an A. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that one. That's good. Well, I'm glad that you're essential and you're surviving.
Mm-hmm.
John, the man who probably I feel like is going slightly insane sitting in his basement. How are you doing, sir?
It is absolutely chaos in my mind right now. There's just no other way to put it. I'm about to lose my mind. I've been looking so forward to doing this evening, even though we can't be in the same room together, because it's just been me and the dog and the cat and the daughter. Okay, see, because Carla still gets to go to work. I mean, Carla still has the opportunity to go out and go to work, so she'll get home in the afternoons, and me and Susie are just like on her. We're like, what is it? What's it like out there? Is everything? Is the sky still blue? And she's like, she doesn't want to talk, and it's because she's been at work all day. And me and Susie are going just crazy. And she's like, I don't understand. I was like, yeah, well, you haven't been here all day looking out the window. I mean, there's just so much. And I know tonight's topic, I'm going to be a complete buzzkill on the topic already, but there is just so much TV you can watch right now. Because, I mean, we've been on spring break this week, technically on spring break. And then last week, when we were in school, we didn't really know what we were doing yet. So we didn't really do a whole lot. It was just trying to get the waters kind of felt out and see what we're doing. Now, next week, it'll be a little bit different. I'll be a little bit more happy because we will be doing actual e-school next week with student meetings on Zoom and on like what we're doing here tonight and things of that nature. We're going to be doing some live, Mr. Mattingly live in the mornings and one in the afternoon so they can ask questions and things of that nature.
Mr. Mattingly live!
Yeah, that's exactly what it's going to be like. But, yeah, it's been crazy and creepy and scary and all the things that everybody expects it to be, especially when you're kind of stuck here inside.
John, can you give us the link and, like, I'll pop into video when you're doing Mr. Mattingly live, and it's just
I will send you.
It'll
that.
be like a
Yeah.
puppet or something like that.
I will send you that. I will send you that link as soon as I get it. As soon as I can set up the meetings. Well, I mean, like tonight, it's just really weird. I mean, it's like pandemic light. I guess that's the only way you can explain it, because it's not like you're trapped.
It's the pandemic with the luxuries.
Yeah, you're not really trapped in your house, but at the same time, we like rode over to a restaurant here in Louisville, Tuscany's, because Susie was dying for some Italian, and
It's good food, though.
Yeah.
It's very good food.
definitely good food.
It is.
And we had to call it in, of course. So when we got there, Carla went up to the door, and there was a sign on the door. She turned around, looked at me, and took her phone out and had to dial the number. Of course, her phone was jacked into the car, so they called the car, and the lady was like, "Can I help you?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm here for a pickup." "Oh, what's the name?" I was like, Carla Mattingly. "Okay, we'll have it out to you in a minute." So I rolled down the window. Carla said, "They're talking to me." Here they come out with their mask and their gloves on. They handed the food to her, and off they went. And my mom called me earlier, and she was like, "Oh yeah, it's probably best y'all stay in." Next door neighbor came over and said his son, who's 2 years older than me, had a friend of his who died from it. I was like, "What?" "Yeah, he died of Corona-19. It's like
Corona-19.
or COVID-19. I was like, "Oh, great, yeah." So my week just keeps getting better and better and better
Yeah.
and better.
Well, I'm glad that you're experiencing the life of a dog that's excited when its owners come home.
You don't even I run around in a circle, chase my tail, take a pee right there on the floor. I mean, it's just just colossal.
That's why Carla won't talk to you. As soon as you get home, you pee on the floor.
Yeah, she can't touch me. She can't touch me. I bought MLB The Show 2020, and I've already played a 120 game season on there in the last week, and
I'm not shocked.
oh, it's just been insane. So,
All
anyway.
right, Aaron, how is Texas treating you?
Well, I haven't gotten to talk to many humans besides my family. So we have, Animal Crossing came out at the perfect time. That is like my social interaction, is talking to these little animals and stuff, is, hanging out with these animals, seeing what's going on in these animals' lives. And I've made my character like this this crazy person living on the island. Like Andrea and the kids are playing as themselves, and then I'm playing as a character named Paul Piper, who's a retired hitman.
Paul Piper?
Yeah, and he runs a plumbing company that's a front for a hitman service. And I have all these signs all over the island and stuff. So
I'm sorry, Charlie just turned me on to hey guys.
Whoa.
Hey fellas.
Yeah, that's right, I did.
I don't know how to do the funny faces on here.
There's a little button there at the bottom that has pictures on it. Yeah, I just figured that out. Charlie just showed it to me, and I'm having a good time now.
I'm sorry, Aaron. Go on with Paul Piper.
Yeah,
Hitman.
go ahead. I'm sorry.
So that's what I spend most of my time doing. We're looking at terraforming the island and rebuilding everything, and just gives me something to do so I don't lose my mind. So speaking of what John was talking about the delivery service with the restaurants, we got a comic book store down the street that's now doing porch to porch, delivery. You tell them what you want, they'll come to your house and deliver the comic books to your door. So,
did they give you the arrogant sass that you get from the comic book store owners as well?
I don't think so. These guys are just trying to stay in business right now. They are putting everything on discount. They're doing mystery baskets. You tell them what you're into and how much you want to spend, and they'll come deliver books to your house. They are, they're in a real bind. So,
well, good. I'm glad that you're surviving with comic books and Hitmen. I'm glad that John is acting like a dog and a starfighter right now, pilot. And I'm glad that Charlie, his life has not changed at all.
No, it's gotten a little bit more stressful, but not like it's not a huge difference. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I am scared because not necessarily because of COVID-19, but because of humanity being kind of stupid in general. So, the fact that everybody bought toilet paper and all the chicken and everything else, that's what's more frightening than dying of a lung disease. As our Baptist people would say, when it's my time, Lord's going to take me home. But currently that's not my concern. It's
Well,
just the concern of idiots.
Yeah, but my uncle, who was one of the most successful independent Baptist pastors in the entire state of Kentucky for a long time, stated one time that he when it's time for the good Lord to take him home, he's ready to go, but he doesn't want to be on the bus today. That was always his
Right,
that's
right,
always
exactly.
his comment.
Right.
And
And it doesn't mean that I have to like help make that happen.
yeah, I don't mean I have to push it along. I have other things I want to do.
Well, since most of us are quarantined, Charlie, not, but the rest of us, we
Because
talked about
I'm essential.
essential. We talked about what would be some television shows that you think would be binge worthy to watch during the quarantine. Not necessarily some of the usual answers, but maybe something that you think you might suggest that people maybe haven't watched as much or something like that. And so we're going to take a couple suggestions. I think Aaron's got one from a couple different streaming networks. Some of us might pick some from a couple of the same streaming networks, but we'll start with Aaron. Aaron, give us something that you could stream as binge-worthy during the quarantine.
Okay, this one's on Hulu. It gets overshadowed a lot by Rick and Morty, but I think it's a better show, and that would be Venture Brothers.
Venture Brothers is amazing.
Yeah, it is great. It has a very complex story as you watch more and more of it. The characters are awesome. It's very funny. It's not for kids, although I am letting my oldest watch it.
It's for kids his age. I mean,
yeah. So, but it's a great show that people forget about because it takes them so long to make it between seasons. And everybody talks about Rick and Morty, but Venture Brothers is I think a far superior show, and we're doing a rewatch right now, and it's amazing. So,
Nice. Okay, Charlie, what about you? First show.
the first show is going to be Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
right on.
It's an underrated Star Trek show. In certain ways, it is the kind of the worst Star Trek show. And let me finish by saying that if you're into Star Trek because of them going to far off worlds and meeting distant peoples, it doesn't do that at all. It's a space station. It stays where it's at. However, the reason I like Deep Space Nine so much is not only that the characters are very, very good. Captain Sisko, of course, Worf, Chief O'Brien, the whole situation with Bajorans and Cardassians. What was Quark again? What was his
Ferengi.
Ferengi? The whole economic structure and societal structure of the space station was amazing. But just the fact that we saw the Star Trek universe not based on a spacecraft, it was a floating city at this point. It wasn't just a ship, it was a city, and I like seeing that. But once again, Captain Sisko is the most underrated captain in the Star Trek universe. Worf was great as the captain of the Defiant. It was just a fun, entertaining show. How many seasons was it, Aaron? Like 12?
It's a 7-season show.
Okay, sometimes it's so long it feels like 12 seasons. But what's great about it too is their storylines that go throughout the whole series. It's so if this quarantine lasts until May, like you're saying, you can knock it out easily. If you like Star Trek and you've never given it a shot because it didn't look good because it didn't have a captain like Picard or Kirk, I can see where you're coming from. Captain Sisko doesn't seem as entertaining as them, but and he really got better as the series went on. It's kind of like the Office. The first season's not going to sell it on anybody, but second season on, it gets much, much better. The Tribble episode is amazing. It's just a great show in general. So I would suggest that one for people that watched all the other Star Trek series and liked it. And unpopular opinion, it's the third best Star Trek series. It's right behind. To me, actually, it's second. I like it better than Next Generation. I know that's blasphemy, but for me, it's original series, Deep Space Nine, Next Generation.
Those early seasons of Next Generation just don't hold up very well.
Yeah.
When they're kind of Now the later seasons are good, but yeah, I like Deep Space Nine. I always thought Deep Space Nine was a pretty decent one.
Yeah, and Next Generation.
John, what about you?
Well, I was going to say real quick, Next Generation was all about following the rules, and Deep Space Nine is totally the opposite.
John, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, what about you? What show?
I was letting Aaron finish up his thought there.
Oh, I'm not hearing Aaron. That must be on me. My fault.
You can't hear Aaron?
Tim, can you change the hamsters on your Wi-Fi? Because it keeps flagging, brother.
Yeah, I'll see what I can do.
All right. Well, I'm going to stay with the space opera kind of thing here going on this evening. I think the ultimate TV space opera, and something I still like to binge and watch, is Sci-Fi's Battlestar Galactica. That was my show of the early 2000s. From the very first pilot movie they put out, I was hooked on that thing. And I watched every season. It's probably the last show. I got pretty close with Walking Dead, but Walking Dead kind of gave up on all of us. And so this is probably the last television show that I actually watched from episode 1 to the very last episode they had on television all the way through. And just every Friday night sat down and watched that thing. The cliffhanger between, I think it was episode 2 and 3, where the Galactica and the Pegasus were about to go to war with each other, was one of the greatest sci-fi moments in that television network's history. So if you're out there and you want a good science fiction opera, I mean, it is a long haul, but the fact is, it's still one of the best, I think, science fiction television shows they ever created.
So your opinion on Star Trek The Next Generation, about the first couple seasons, don't hold up. I feel the same way about the last few seasons of Battlestar Galactica.
Really?
Like I really loved the first like two and a half seasons, but then near the end I get really bored with it.
It got a little bit into the tie-weeds when it started getting into the like the Cylon religion and those things at the end. But at the same time, the whole body of work is just an absolute amazing thing.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Who's on the jet
Never
fighter?
watched it.
You never watched it?
at all.
It's good. It's very good.
Charlie, I have switched out to my phone. Let me know if I'm still lagging.
Not at all. You're coming through crystal clear. It's like it's like right in my living room.
Okay. For me, I've talked about this show before. It's only 2 seasons long, but they knew they were only going to be 2 seasons, so they were able to wrap it up. It's a show that was on NBC called Life, and it had Damian Lewis in it.
Such a good show.
I love that show. It's got Sarah Shahi, I think that's how you say her name. And it's got the one guy that was Commissioner Gordon in the Batman TV show with when he was a kid. I can't remember his name.
What, Damian Lewis?
No, the
Donald Logue.
Yeah, there you go. So, really liked it. It's about a beat cop detective that gets framed for murder and goes away for life. But then he proves his innocence and he comes back as a detective. And it's just really good. It's kind of quirky and offbeat. And it's got a really good overarching story that they're able to actually get a nice resolution to and a pretty satisfying ending. It's on the NBC app if you want to pick that one up. So that's my first one. We'll go back. We'll start with Charlie this time. Charlie, for your second show that you feel is binge worthy.
This isn't one show, so this is kind of a cheat, but I'll go ahead and say it. The entire Marvel's Netflix Defenders. Who's that? Still yours, John? Is that
No. I'm just agreeing with you. I'm doing the agreement thing.
Now, I think everyone has different opinions on those series. I would definitely say if you don't like them all, I would just watch Daredevil. It's the best of the best of the best of the Marvel's Netflix. However, everything has a good place in the scope of the series, except for Iron Fist season 1. It's god awful, but you kind of have to watch it to get everything else, so it's worth watching. And Jessica Jones is kind of difficult to watch because it's so adult and has a lot of sexual context.
Heavy.
However, the whole Marvel's Netflix has such the good moments definitely outweigh the bad moments. So I would go with Marvel's Netflix Defenders, all of them. Daredevil, especially Punisher. Punisher kind of stands alone more than the rest of it, in my opinion, because he has the least amount of overlap of characters. They're not really in his series like everybody else is in each other's series. Luke Cage is great. Jessica Jones is good, and like I said, Iron Fist. I never watched season 2. I haven't yet, and I need to. However, and I still haven't watched Jessica Jones season 3 either. So there's ones I need to finish. However, if you are in the place where you're going to be stuck in your house for several months, it's a great thing to watch. You watch one episode of Deep Space Nine, and then one episode of Marvel's Netflix. There you go.
I really thought I would dislike the Defenders when they all came together because I wasn't sure how Iron Fist was going to really fit in with the rest of them. But by the
Rand.
by the end of it, I thought the Defenders was one of the ones that I actually enjoyed a whole lot. It was good to see them working together, and I liked Daredevil's arc in it. So really well done. I agree with that one. All right, John, show number 2.
All right, so I'm going to go on to Disney. We're going Disney Plus here. Yeah, sorry, I'm trying to swallow some Mountain Dew. And I had never got to see it when it was on XD because it was all over the place. But I'm gonna go with Rebels, Star Wars Rebels. If you're into Star Wars like I am, I mean, it has a lot of good. If you've ever watched The Mandalorian, there are things in Rebels that they put in The Mandalorian that you only get if you've seen Rebels. I mean, some of the innocent side characters and things of that nature that you see in there, some of the stuff they talk about. So, yeah, Rebels is my thing. It's a kiddie show. I was a little bit, I don't want to say I was disappointed in it when I first started watching it, but I was so used to the way they did Clone Wars that I was a little bit taken back by how kiddish it was at first. But then I kind of got into it. I was like, okay, yeah. Because, it's got, whereas Clone Wars had just a little bit of it, this is more, we can do it together type of attitude. But then bringing back the original actors for some of the voice acting they did in it, like having, oh my goodness, how does his name escape me now? Darth Vader.
James
Earl Jones, yeah. Having James Earl Jones come back and actually do the Darth Vader, and Billy D. Williams coming in and doing Lando and things like that really add to it. Is it going to be for everybody? Probably not. It probably won't even be for all Star Wars fans because a lot of people think it's a little hokey, but I've liked it. I like something. I binged it over a couple weeks when we first got Disney Plus, and I would suggest that anybody who has, especially if kids out there want to introduce them to something in Star Wars, I think it's a really good jump off point.
It's definitely something on our to watch list. Kinsey and I started watching the Clone Wars cartoons. She had kind of would watch a movie and then she'd fade off and not finish it. But for whatever reason, Clone Wars really caught her attention. And we've gotten to the part where it's starting to hint that Anakin is going to become Darth Vader. And so we've paused it and we've watched New Hope last weekend. And we're halfway through Empire Strikes Back. And I think she's figured it out just because of some of the stuff they said. But I can see watching it for the first time if you've got some kind of knowledge of the Clone Wars and stuff, how it really throws you off because Obi-Wan's like, Darth Vader killed your father and, just different things like that. So it's good. All right, Aaron, show number 2.
I'm actually going to do 2 from Netflix. I just have another one. One that I've mentioned several times on the podcast, Voltron Legendary Defender. If you liked Voltron when you were a kid, you should definitely check out Voltron Legendary Defender. It gets a little dark at times. It is, they're at war. It gets pretty gritty. And my other show that I made Tim watch years ago would be, he hadn't watched this version, was Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. If you don't watch anime, if you don't like anime, this is the one I would say check out. This one is dark. It is good. I know Charlie just left the podcast.
He fell down the stairs.
No, I'm still here. I'm still here.
Charlie's in a bar fight.
I'm about to be, yeah.
But Full Metal Alchemist, I'll just give you a brief synopsis. It's about 2 little brothers whose mom dies, and they try to bring her back to life, and it goes horribly wrong, and then it starts from there. So if that sounds interesting to you, you should check it out.
Aaron, I have to argue with you on something.
Okay.
Full Metal Alchemist is the anime for people who like anime. The anime for people that don't like anime, because I am one of them.
Cowboy Bebop, yeah.
Cowboy Bebop is the perfect television show. Not because it's Japanese animation, because it's the perfect television show.
It's pretty good.
I'm sorry.
It's good.
It's absolutely fantastic.
I'm not going to argue with you. It's a good one.
Good. Because I will fight you. I will wait till the next time I can travel to Texas, come there and punch you.
Okay.
and just say, Cowboy Bebop, what's up? And that's it. All right. For my second show, it's something that just came to Netflix. I think it's a show you either love or you hate. It's Community, that was on NBC for 7 seasons, starring Joel McHale and Donald Glover and
Chevy Chase,
Allison Brie, Julian Jacobs, several people like that.
The guy from The Masked Singer, don't forget him.
Ken Jeong, yes. When Dan Harmon is on, Dan Harmon's great, and his stuff is hilarious. When Dan Harmon's off, it's just weird. It's some really weird, messed up stuff. But there's some really great episodes in Community. Donald Glover and the guy that plays Abed, I don't know his name.
Danny.
They're great, and probably the best part of the show. And when Donald Glover leaves after season 5, I think it does lose some of its luster. But there's some episodes in seasons 2 and 3 that are just hilarious. Like I will watch those episodes over and over and over. They're great. So Community from me. All right,
I thought you were going to say Friends, and I was going to drive to Aaron's house and punch him, and drive to Shepherdsville and punch you.
God, every night, for whatever reason, Dish will always turn to like a channel you use often, like when you first turn your TV on. And every night, turn on the TV in the bedroom, and it's Friends every night because my wife watches it and like goes to sleep watching it, and I just like roll over and bury myself with pillows because I'm just like, oh dear God, here we go again.
Well, Tim, to be honest though, no one told you life was going to be this way.
I would clap my hands, but I'm holding a phone in one of them.
That was the problem with all of us. We wanted to clap, but we couldn't.
All right, we'll do one more show from everybody and wrap this episode up. So, John, do you have a last show you'd like to share?
I've started watching it again, and it just never gets old. It's Band of Brothers. That's the HBO miniseries.
I love Band of Brothers.
Well, when I say it's an easy watch, it's not the content's easy to watch, but it's very short. I think it's only like 7 or 8 episodes. So I just started watching it again, and it holds up. I mean, there is nothing. Of course, I mean it's a period show, so it doesn't really. You don't have to like worry about like not getting into the technology or giggling about an old phone or anything like that. But just the acting in it's very well done. HBO, of course, did a good job, and it came in right on the coattails of Saving Private Ryan. So it's got the same feel. It's filmed kind of the same way, kind of got that opaque kind of look to it. And I've gotten 4 episodes back into it now on my time in quarantine, and I just love it. I mean, I'll watch it. I probably sit down and watch it probably once a year or so. It's no problem. If I find it on HBO, we just took out HBO. The a la carte HBO, HBO Go, whatever it is, because it's Netflix and Prime got boring for us, especially since we're just watching Tiger King on Netflix now.
Oh my gosh, it's amazing,
man! This show we could do a whole podcast about Tiger King, but Band of Brothers is my show. I've always liked it.
Band of Brothers, Dick Winters is played by Damian Lewis, the guy from Life. I was telling you about earlier. So I mean, he's a fantastic actor.
Oh, he's great.
Except for in Dreamcatcher, that Stephen King movie.
we don't talk about that.
Oh, we could. Ooh. I mean,
no.
With the toilet paper shortage, you could talk about that.
All right, Aaron, what do you got for your last show?
You guys know I'm a big comic book guy, and there's areas of the Marvel universe that are my weakness, and one of them's Avengers. I don't know Avengers that well, and Disney Plus has a wonderful show, Avengers: Earth's Mightiest Heroes. It's basically the equivalent of, remember how good the X-Men 90s cartoon was, how it taught you everything about X-Men? This is the Avengers equivalent, and it really teaches you all the major story arcs, all the major characters, goes through everything. So if you like the movies and you about these characters, I would highly recommend Earth's Mightiest Heroes. It was kind of like the last Marvel cartoon they did before Disney bought them. So it's like more Marvel control. And it's just really a great series to binge. So.
All right, Charlie, your last show.
Is it me? You guys lagged again. Sorry. That's my fault. Sorry. The last one is a show on Netflix, and if you like kung fu movies, it's a great show. It's called Wu Assassins, W-O Assassins. And by the name, you can tell that there's some hip hop involved. It's not affiliated with Wu-Tang Clan, but it's kind of affiliated with the Wu-Tang Clan. And it is a super fun show. It is not all serious. There's a lot of comedy to it, but it's very. It has a comic book feel to it. It's not from a comic book, however, it feels like it is. There's a lot of kung fu superpowers and stuff like that, and like the spirits of the ancients. But there's also like a ragtag group of people that like. There's the car guy who's into guns and. It almost has a Fast and Furious feel to it as well. There's an undercover FBI agent. It's just it's a really fun show to watch. It's only like 10 or 11 episodes, 10 episodes so far. Season 2, I'm sure will come around eventually, but it was just a very fun show. It's from the guys who did, or from the main star of The Siege. I don't know if you ever saw that one or not, but that was a fun movie. It's actually what the Judge Dredd was based on. You know how in Dredd the movie they have to go like floor to floor and take over this building. Siege is like that as well. It's about an undercover cop who gets involved in this.
The Japanese movies?
It's actually like Korean.
Korean?
And they're Korean. Or they might even be Filipino, and I apologize for not being sensitive to the different
as well.
Structures. However, it's the lead actor from that movie.
Yes, I've seen that.
It's a very well done series. Like I said, if you like comedy, and it's not quite as good as Kung Fu Hustle, but Aaron, I really do think you'd like it. It has some of that same style of like absurdist humor with good kung fu mixed in it as well.
And what's
the
it called?
soundtrack it's called Wu Assassins.
Wu Assassins.
Is it WU?
Yes, like Wu-Tang Clan. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'll check that one out.
I know that your parents are big fans of Wu-Tang, so you're familiar with their music.
Green cash rules everything around me.
Yeah, they ain't nothing to mess with, guys. Wu-Tang Clan ain't nothing to mess with. But so that's my third one. Like I said, it's one of those. It's something you can watch a couple episodes, drop for a week or two, and then come back to. It's not something that it is fun. It is entertaining. You want to watch the next one, but it's not really deep. The story is very, very, very predictable, but it's still fun regardless.
Yeah. So my last one is I'm a Nathan Fillion fanboy. I wish we could have several seasons of Firefly to watch and binge, but unfortunately there's only I think 8 total episodes or whatever it is. And so to get a Nathan Fillion fix, I love Castle. It's a little bit of a cliche type sitcom that's on, but it really found its footing. He's hilarious in it. There's a lot of good pop culture references in Castle, and the supporting cast is really well done. So I wish it was still on. And it's not very easy to find to stream. I think you can only get it on the TNT app or something like that right now. So that makes it very hard. But I love Castle, and I would watch that every day probably if it were on. So that's our shows. That's what we would binge if we. That's what we recommend that you binge during this time in the quarantine. If you pick up any of these shows and decide to watch them, let us know your thoughts on them. I'm definitely planning on checking out Wu Assassins based off Charlie's reference. I do like the actors from The Siege, and I am not quite Kung Fu Hustle-esque like Aaron, but I'm kind of in that same boat. I enjoyed it. So that's definitely what I'm going to check out. So we hope you guys are doing well during this time, and that this brought you some relief, and that you check out some of these shows. But as always, you can catch us on Apple Podcasts, the Anchor app, Google Podcasts, whatever they're called. And,
Google Play.
Google Play, SoundCloud, anywhere you catch your podcast, you can catch us. And so I got a very high praise to share with everybody, John. Are you ready for this?
I'm psyched.
I was talking to Officer Brent,
Yes.
who listens to our podcast, and he told me that we have replaced his morning commute, that he doesn't listen to Bob and Tom anymore. He listens to our podcast.
Tell him he needs to get all his police buddies listening to it too. That's the whole point, Brent.
Yes.
Okay, real quick. John would be Bob. Tim would be Tom. Aaron would be Christy Lee. I would be Chick McGee. And Brian would be Bob as well.
You know, I don't know how to take that. Tom's not very liked. So,
Sorry, Bob. Bob, the one that left. That's Bob, right?
yeah.
Yes.
Bob
Yeah,
left.
there we go. Yeah.
So,
right.
anyways.
Well, good.
Brent,
I'm glad to.
I appreciate it, but I am sorry, Brent.
Well,
Aaron.
Should I do the Christy Lee skit of where she's trying to pronounce that bank name? Foo. There was
Yes,
a robbery
yes.
at Foo.
5, 4, 3, 2,